Hi, it's Paulie here. So, Chaosium, one of my favourite companies. They came up with some very good mechanisms very early on. They've run with them, and they've used that to make some extraordinary games like RuneQuest and good old Call of Cthulhu and so on. Basic Roleplaying was done as a general toolbox that you could use for creating your own worlds and your adventures, and they've done some settings for these. Chaosium, I love them to death. What they do tend to do is make these wonderful designs, put them up, and kind of lose interest and walk off. And this is a shame because they've had some actual winners and they haven't realised. One of these things that they didn't realise was a winner, wackily enough, Magic World. This is done for Basic Roleplaying. This thing's a gem. So, Basic Roleplaying is a D100 system developed by Chaosium, and it's the skill-based role-playing system that we all know and love. You're rolling percentile dice, trying to get under a skill percentage. You have characters that are largely defined by their skills and so on. This was a magic world for those of you who wanted something that didn't have kind of the often strange and very background-heavy setting of Glorantha, which is the RuneQuest setting. Something that wasn't Dungeons and Dragons, but we still had more of that kind of high fantasy feeling. God, I hate that term, high fantasy. But so they did this, and it's actually an absolute delight. Now it is still available on drive-through and so on, and you can get it on the Chaosium site as a PDF. They began supporting it, and they've kind of let it sit. So send them lots of fish shaking mail and tell them to keep doing more of it, because this thing's great. So what they've wanted is to do something that's quite easy to set up, something that's quite robust to play, that you can get fancy players into. So there's a really nice setting comes with this. So you actually come with maps, color maps folded up in the book and so on. They have done something that has a number of different life backgrounds your character can have. So you come in, you roll your characteristics. They have a very broad range of character races you can have. They basically say, in our initial setup, we're showing you how to do a human. You can choose anything intelligent that's in the back of the book or that you design. Just go and talk to your umpire. This is for everyone. So they've got these wonderfully kind of inclusive, diverse pictures of characters, lizard people and centaurs and all these sorts of things that are encouraging you to do this. You pick a background for yourself, and there's a little kind of life path. Where are you from? Now what's the career that you're choosing? Oh, well, I'm going to be from a rural area and I want to go off and I actually want to be apprenticed to an alchemist or whatever. You build this, and this is where your basic skills come from. They've set up an interesting little thing where they've decided there's lore and there's chaos and there's balance, or in this case light and dark and balance in between, which are these forces. And dark, it is the dark side of the force. It is hatred and jealousy and stabbing people in the back and writing bad checks, and goodness is giving your grandparents Easter eggs, patting bunnies on the heads, and having lots of fun. Balance is not letting one or the other completely overrule everything, and supporting nature and supporting the Wa, and okay, so that is all very nice. You get ratings for these. As you do things that kind of contribute to each of these increase like a skill. So if you do horrible, rotten things, your darkness goes up. If you do really nice, wonderful things and help those widows and orphans, your light goes up. If you sort of solve things, solve problems, spread kind of justice and balance and equality and so on, your balance goes up. There are things you can do. You can kind of try and trigger your attachments to these, and it gets you little things in the game. So if I try and trigger my attachment to darkness, it can help me hurt. I can increase my damage. I can do these horrible things. If I try and trigger my my light, I can get bonuses to my skills and so on, as long as I'm using them for good things. So it's a nice little bit of background hook. You buy into the background activities. You can also become a champion of these things, and this is kind of a thing they're taking their lead here from things like Moorcock's work. So you can become a champion of light or darkness, and it's a bit like being a RuneQuest in a Rune Lord in RuneQuest, because what you do is, if you push those connections way up, get them up around the 100% mark, you can become a champion, and this gets you very specific high-level sort of magical aid from the powers that be that run this background. So it's got a very simple kind of ethos worked into that whole system, and something that makes you buy into it. This has a superb little magic system. So you've got sorcery and so on. It's got the usual things that you would expect. It's got big grimoire of different spells, but there's some great stuff here. So one thing I really liked is you can make magical constructs. You can try and make a magical creature. I want a guard. I want a mighty mount. I want a strange loyal bodyguard companion. I want a weird flying thing that I can ride through the skies. You design it, but what you have to do is you have to take elements of different creatures that you want, and you have to sort of get some blood and body parts and so on from these things to use as a pattern, and you design it, and you kind of put down the design you want. Okay, I want a flying creature. It'll have the flying abilities of a dragon. I want the strength of a raging bull. Fantastic. Armor. I want armor on like an armadillo. I'll get armadillo armor. And you design this, and then you see how well the design actually worked and whether it was way above your skill. So you could screw up, and this could get the flying abilities of an armadillo. It could get the armor of a leather-winged gannet, and is there sitting in your lab now, and you get defeated because you're tied to it. You can't really get rid of it. Okay, well, this is how wizards get weird menageries. So there was that wonderful ability that Basic Roleplay D100 system has for design, and taking these elements and designing has come through shining in the magic system. It's a riot. We've got the usual charts for weapons and armor and all these sorts of things, which work within the usual boundaries. There is some kind of nice stuff. Your armor can break. You get some different weapon classes do different things. It's a very simple system, but it's got a lot of color to it. It takes out a lot of the very kind of frenzied nitty-gritty that you especially get in later RuneQuest style things, with all these kind of strange little tactical choice and so on. It makes things quite streamlined. This is designed to get a fancy group playing a fancy game with no damn arguments about the rules. I have to say, these things are written with immense clarity. They're not simple, you haven't lost anything. They've just kind of learned. And one of those things that they've learned is brevity of expression, simplicity of expression. So they did a very good job. There's an advanced sorcery manual came out for this, which has a ton of interesting stuff. There are different branches of sorcery that they brought in. So they brought in they got deep magic and summonation, taking a little cue from the Elric Stormbringer game here, where you can summon demons and use them to become things like magical armor and magical weapons and so on. So RuneQuest spliced with Stormbringer, but not in the closed world of Stormbringer that makes that such a difficult thing to play in. We've got necromancy, we've got rune magic, we've got herbalism, a thing they call Arit, which is essentially someone who's concentrating very much on making skills completely excel. So if someone's like hyper focused, they've got some things in there for extra powers that come within these hyper focused skills and so on. So it's got some really great design bones to it. It's got lots of options that you won't get in like a Dungeons and Dragons style thing. The magic is very grounded, which you don't get in a Dungeons and Dragons world. The magic in D&D is just crazy, makes no sense at all, a man or beast, but this does. Everything's paid for under PowerPoints, everything costs you, everything's a skill. It's so really, really well done. Now, there are some adventures that have come out for this, and they're very, very good. They have a setting there which is described in enough detail for you to just sandbox it and make it your own. This is a gem. This is an absolute gem. If you were looking for a fantasy game that has that kind of basic role-playing D100 skill-based thing, which does let you kind of customize your characters so much. You're not caught in all these levels and classes. You can be what you want to be. So way more freedom, like in a level-based game. Magic World. part of the Basic Role-Playing family. It's out, it's available. Take a look at it. It may have slipped under your radar, and it shouldn't. It's great work. Go out, find the thing, and give it a shot. Cheers.